My channel's a geezer channel.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Got a bunch of geezers watching me. My channel's a geezer channel.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Got a bunch of geezers watching me. My channel's a geezer channel.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Got a bunch of geezers watching me.
I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have this dry maggot. Well, I mean, I know what that is. No. I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have this dry maggot. Well, I mean, I know what that is. No.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy post Super Bowl Sunday. And despite my not being an American, I am an American, just didn't grow up here. So let me reiterate that. I was born here in Virginia. Just grew up in the UK. And but I'm aware of the Super Bowl. I even knew the Seahawks were playing against the Patriots. I didn't watch. I don't tend to watch. I used to if I had an NFL party. But those of you who were celebrating, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. You had a fun Sunday. I was going to go live, and then I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Oh, and I tell you guys, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm fighting a little bit of a cold this evening. So if I sound particularly British and particularly nasally and particularly congested, I feel like I'm fighting something. I had to fight my fence again on Saturday. For those of you who aren't aware, my name's Ray, or Life and Vibe, otherwise known as Ray. And we got some topics to cover. But back to my fence. It was 50-mile-an-hour winds on Saturday. And my fence wanted to go with it. One of my neighbor's fences actually did come down. It was wild, and it was for 2 days, but I finally fixed it. I probably have better mechanical skills than Tim. Hi, Dr. Falcon. Come on in. Hey, David. Come on in. Hey, everybody. So Tim's here. Hey, come on in. You're all stars down here anyway on my channel. Everybody's a star. Everybody's a star. Hey, Thomas. Come on in. So I don't know if everybody caught, but I put up a poll on the Life of I look great this evening. I mean, my hair, everything. You can tell I think Tim puts way more effort in his appearance than I put into mine, which is really sad. So let me get over to my channel because I put up a poll because I asked whether or not we thought that Tim was going to start trying to hawk this KLX off. And so if you haven't had a chance to participate in that poll, it is on the Life and Vibe post page. And we got some fun things to look at. We'll see how I hold up tonight, but let me share this screen. And we've got some fun stuff. I got some fun stuff tonight. And then, of course, this week we're going to have a members live. We got a lot to catch up there, guys, because I got transcripts for some fun stuff. I think I talked about that the other day. Oh, my goodness. Let me share this screen. And if you haven't had a chance to hit the likes, make sure you do so when you come on in. I appreciate it. All right. So this was the poll. Let me see. Let me see where I am. I want to make sure. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that looks good. I don't think everyone needs to see. I don't know how I see. Perfect. That's even better. Okay, so I asked a poll question. So far, 57 have answered. So if you haven't had a chance to answer this, go ahead and take a look. So is Sarasota Tim looking to return his KLX 300 for a full refund, even though he has tampered with the bike, attempting modifications? So I'm wondering if there was something, because he likes to talk about the warranty for the KLX and how the staff at the store had misled him potentially because they said it was, being a dual sport and having a dirt bike component. It meant that it was a 6-month warranty, but Tim decided to ask Grok, I guess. I don't know why he just doesn't contact the manufacturer, but he contacted AI, Grok, and Grok let him know that it was a year. So anyway, Tim has since, you will find out, because Tim released a short. So we kind of maybe have an answer over here on this poll. And like I said, if you haven't had a chance to do it, do so. If you a great way of showing my support for my channel is hitting the likes, because that's a great way to get me up the algorithm and a great way to get Tim ranting about something. Probably, I don't know half the time if he's just doing it for clicks and views, but I know the stuff that he does to openly strike my channel is another. And I have a new turncoat for Tim. I have a new turncoat, and this turncoat's actually been very generous, and so that's interesting. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. We got some good stuff tonight, guys, and I've got some interesting paperwork from a case of somebody being prosecuted for EIDL fraud, and it was very interesting. The paperwork, it was a case out of Florida, I believe. And it seems very reminiscent to some of the stuff that Tim was up to. So we're going to actually look at that case filing, because it was it's on a U.S. government website, and they've redacted, I guess, the one part of personal information that needed to be redacted. So that's kind of fun. So yeah. All right. So it says, okay. So was he trying to do this? Okay. So 11% said, and I even put little pictures up. That's getting very exciting today at work. No, as honest as the day is long. Tim, 11%. I think you're just trolling me. Whoever those, I think those are trolls. That's 11% of a troll going on there. The 11%, that's interesting. Tim will listen to the dealership. And I put this with a comment, probably something that doesn't exist on Tim's channel anymore. Like I said earlier, you were doing 30 years or something, like old man work. You're 67. Somebody basically telling Tim he's too old to do whatever he's up to. And then at 79%, which ended up being the clear winner so far, though this poll is always open. Yes, he messed up the bike. And that was with a comment that said, ST, you are your own best enemy. Something man knows his limitations. Sorry, the images have since disappeared somewhat. But I thought it would be good to have some of Tim's own comments, kind of highlighting Tim. So thank you for those of you who did participate. I appreciate it. So that was fun. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, make sure you go and check that out. So yeah, thank you. All right, let's get over to the next thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the react and looking at Tim's channel. Yeah, it's changed. Yeah. So let's get over to Tim. Let me show this tab instead. Yeah, here's Tim. So there's all sorts of speculation going on around Tammy having been at the Bradenton slab and whether because there was a Tim, some people had noticed, and I think this is in the Social Security video, so maybe we'll see this one tonight. I think we're only going to probably get through the Social Security video tonight just because of me needing to make sure I take myself to bed shortly. I'm literally holding on to one of those warmed up little bear things that they have for kids that you heat up in the microwave. And I'm probably going to put some vapor rub on shortly. So anyway, Tim has just been knocking out some content. So we're going to go over the Social Security, which he's had 3.2 thousand views. I always think like people just, I'd love to see how long people actually stay engaged in the video when they click into that and he starts talking for about 10 minutes before he even gets to the topic of Social Security. He really should be, prevented from having any opportunity to clickbait his audience in that manner. His clickbait is terrible. What do you have to say about that, Tim?
I can't even get erect.
Oh, yeah, Tim, that's really bad. Yeah, that's the new Tim drop, everybody. Oh, Tim, maybe you should take that statin medication or something. I'm going to have to play that one more time just in case you missed it. Thank you, Miss Vicky. We don't know if he cut this out of a video or not.
I can't even get erect.
That's terrible, Tim. That's really bad. That's, you might have to get the little blue pill. That's not AI. That's directly out of the mouths of the babe known as Sarasota Tim. Yeah, we're wicked over here. Oh dear, says Sharon. Well, what a Christian. Yeah, he's a good Christian, and I'm so glad Tammy is gone. You think Tammy's gone? Oh my gosh. Okay, I might when Tim's talking, I'm probably gonna put out a poll. I was trying to think of a good poll to put out, and then of course, I have to walk the dogs and do a bunch of stuff before I sit down and do these lives. We have to get our dinners. We got to get our evening walks in. I got to get the puppies. And then they come home and play a little bit, and hopefully they're gonna crash down and not get. That's what I hope. Anyway. I will be trying, if I can remember, put up a poll asking whether or not we think Tammy is in town. Okay? Because there's a video where he says he left the door open and then he looks kind of at the door and everyone's speculating whether or not he's sort of seeing something. Now, those of you who are part of the members only, I do want to thank you all for your contributions for some stuff that I have going on. I don't know. Some people know, and it's funny. I'm like, how do you know? Because obviously, I try to keep it not behind a paywall necessarily because of being like that type of creator, but it's really because there is a lot of personal information about other people and even myself and stuff that's going on. And I don't want to have to like fight YouTube and getting struck and having videos flagged, and it just becomes a nightmare. Because I had that one time with information I was sharing That was public information about Tim's EIDL. And I guess it was because I was showing his Manor Loop address, and they kept getting upset with it. And YouTube was allowing, that to stick. So I must have gotten really reported for that. And so, because YouTube doesn't really usually, pay attention to much unless it's like a lot of people submitting reports, and not one person submitting a lot of reports, like a huge, so if you all saw in your estimation, say, for example, a creator was driving very dangerously on a video and still posting it as content to YouTube, you could flag, post that, you could report that video. And if enough people all reported that same, video and tagged that, sort of same timeline, because usually you're supposed to try to timestamp stuff as best as you can when you're reporting anything. It's better to timestamp in a report so that you can make sure that YouTube knows exactly where the problem is in the video. Anyway, obviously that will bring up attention, and the AI will be more likely to take a look at it. So with that said, I as you know, so I've had to kind of keep things behind a little bit. And there's some things going on, and I've obviously asked for support from the community. And I really do appreciate the help and support for those who can afford to help and support, because obviously not only is it helpful, and it means that people can also feel that they're participating. I know, other than, obviously the likes, the comments, the shares, the watches, all that matters. But I'm not the first creator on YouTube who's had the community want to help support when it comes to legal fees, and not see a creator who is definitely trying to call out somebody who's not a great individual, who shouldn't be enriching themselves with U.S. taxpayer monies, and then using those assets to set up a fake persona on a YouTube channel and lie to his audience. I mean, I know some people are aware he's just lying, and they just watch his channel and they kind of go along with him because it's fun for them. I get it. But there's a lot of other people who may not truly understand that Tim's just full of shite, and that a lot of these things that he's got are through the monies through PPP and the EIDL. If the Panini hadn't happened, Tim would be in a much worse place financially than now. He wouldn't. He's the way he talks about owning vehicles, but he owned all junk cars in the past. Tim gives himself away a wee bit. That's why he's such a fascinating guy, but he's such a liar. So I don't know sometimes if he's just rage baiting us, and when he's saying certain things about upset with being single and so upset that other people have condos, he's really trying to throw people off the scent because he and Tammy are getting ready to move in together, or he and Tammy really on the outs, because we've seen Tammy recently. So who knows? What we do know is Tim will never be honest with his audience. And for the rest of us who are just a bunch of hating trolls, like he says, oh well, it's our soap opera. And the thing is, if you listen to Tim and you watch some of his videos, and you happen to join us here, hit the likes and stuff, and watch some other channels, oh my goodness, a lot of what is said on this particular channel is repeated by Tim. And he also does these actions. It's wild. So anyway, if you do want to help support, you can join the community, and you can join and find out all the stuff going on behind the scenes, because it's way more exciting. I promise you. There's some fun stuff going on. It's going to get even better soon. It's going to get even better. All right. So, So, and with that said, this is a perfect segue into this, which I'm going to add to the stage. Now, those of you who are not familiar with the lore of Sarasota Tim, one of his obviously staunch supporters, and somebody who often made even videos about, was Chris Google Maps. And Chris Google Maps has had a very interesting relationship with this community. I have even had, my own fair share of some, sort of things that have, made me have to defend myself against Chris Google Maps. He's left some, he's left some pretty vitriolic comments on my platform and come after me for coming after Tim and just sort of, going after grandma's pocketbook. I mean, he just like gave us all sorts of stuff. Yeah, 90 watching, 40 likes. Thank you, David. Yeah, come on, guys, hit the likes. If you're watching on TV, you can just, use your remote to you can, hit up on the screen. I can hit like on my TV. They call TVs a device now. It's not even a TV. Thanks, David. You like? Thank you. You've hit the likes. Thank you. You smashed it. Thank you. Smash it for Chris Google Maps. So any of you probably potentially remember Chris Google Maps. This is some, this is the lore that goes back a couple of years for those who are potentially new to the Sarasota Tim hater community. Why we're called haters? We're just regular folk who are working our way, hopefully, through people who took government taxpayer money illegally. Oh, and other scammers. There's all types of scammers on YouTube. So I think we as a community don't like people being dishonest on these platforms. I'm telling you, the dog rescue stuff that I've found, some of these fake sites and stuff with PayPal links is wild. Tugging on the heartstrings of people, man. It's terrible. All right. So Chris Google Maps actually, for those of you, like I said, Tim made videos about, Chris Google Maps being like a son to him. Okay. He used to talk about Chris all the time, and he wasn't talking about his son, Christopher. He was talking about Chris Google Maps. Hear about the turncoats? You want to hear their explanation. Ha DJ Shelley Show, you're so funny. Yeah, truth tellers, absolutely. So he sent something for the pups for Christmas, and then just the other day, today, bought 20 coffees, which is awesome. Said for your legal efforts against Tim. So he knows about the legal efforts. So it's amazing. People who've been on YouTube, word travels around. Yes, elder abuse, and it's a crime. Yeah. Yes, he came in and gave me 20 coffees. Yep, absolutely, for the fund. Absolutely. And those of you who are in the members only will find out how beneficial this absolutely is at the moment. I was an idiot for ever watching and supporting him. All I can do now is help the good side. Best of luck. Them to a soup kitchen. Well, people who have money don't accept charity boxes with coffee. They would bring them to a soup kitchen. Well, we're trying to bring our taxpayer monies back, and I promise you, I'm a single female, and a couple of years ago, I was probably pretty close to a soup kitchen. So I'm certainly not somebody who has money. And with the monies that I have spent in fighting Tim with actually hiring copyright attorneys and so forth, it's certainly not. It's something that's been inexpensive and has certainly taken up anything that from YouTube for anyway. So yeah, I don't have any money. So we are the soup kitchen at the moment, taking Tim. So thank you, Nancy Jean. I don't even have any money. So thank you. Well, you mean for Tim? Oh, I think you would. I know what you mean, Nancy Jean. Sorry, I misunderstood. I think you mean for Tim. Yeah. I just realized. Yes, yeah. I just realized, Nancy. I was like, yeah, no. This is a group community effort, and I want people to feel like they've contributed as well. Because this is something that we as a community, I know it's me kind of with the channel per se. So and I just understood. Sorry, Nancy. I'm not all fully thinking. I'm like, you can probably hear my voice. I'm starting to come down with something. And I'll start sniffling. Oh my God. My nose is so raw today. from blowing my nose. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, Tim. Exactly. His affiliate links. Oh, that was another thing about the t-shirts. We'll get back to that in a second. So Tim and Chris Google Maps obviously have had a falling out because we haven't heard Tim talk about Chris Google Maps in a long time. So something happened. I mean, to say that, he wants to help the good side. And Tim always likes to say that we aren't the good side. Yeah, we hope. Yeah, joining us on the line. And thank you for supporting Ray. Well to the side. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Tim Diet Reset number 53. Oh, yeah. Yes. So, yes, some raw garlic and honey. Oh, that sounds, I'm drinking tea. I know what you're saying. I have been eating my zinc and vitamin D. And then I told him it means a lot to the community. This community, because this is, like I said, a community effort. As much as I'm sort of obviously the face of it, I think there's been a lot of people that have felt that Tim has mistreated other people in the community, has mistreated the U.S. taxpayer money, has deleted them, has shadow banned. I mean, Tim, for all his wanting to be portraying himself as this really nice person, we know, we've seen it with JJ, Johnny Vegas. I mean, he got rid of Dino's channel. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. And so I just appreciate everybody who's supporting, because we're getting closer and closer. We're getting closer and closer to some things happening, and in the hopes that I can bring some, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spook him out of town. So yeah, just check out the members only. I'm telling you, it gets exciting over there. Okay, so I said, I hope I can share this with everyone. So let me know, because obviously I'm not just, anybody who has been making any contributions for things recently, I have made sure to privatize people's names, because I obviously don't want any type of retribution happening to anybody coming from Tim. Though I feel that Tim and his, strong support base that he was able to lean on in order to sort of wage attacks against members of, other creators on this platform was really, really strong at one point. And now, we had Z-Car here on the chat with JJ the other night. So that just says, yeah, welcome. Thank you, Thomas. Thomas says, welcome to the community, Chris. Absolutely. Absolutely. You just got over your flu. I hope I don't have flu. I obviously was vaccinated. I mean, I have muscle ache. I assume the muscle ache was just from me trying to put the fence up 50 times. But now I'm starting to think the muscle ache might be something else. And I have got to go to work. So I'm going to be probably wearing a mask tomorrow. I think it was because I had to collect a stool sample today from a diaper. How do you do that? You put plastic wrap inside the diaper so it doesn't touch it. And you make sure the skin is clean. And so I obviously had myself, June Bug and Roscoe. And then he said, absolutely, feel free to tow. So thank you, Chris. And that meant a lot to us here at the community. And I wanted to share that with everybody. I have some free range eggs. We'll be like him eating prime steaks every day. Not going to happen. Oh, Tim told me that Chris is a woman, a realtor from Pittsburgh. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for clarifying. Well, Chris, you are a very kind person. I think I've never used any. I think we just made assumptions because Chris said they were like their son on his channel. And I heard that from somebody else. It was somebody else. So I don't know what. I've heard all sorts of stuff, JJ. Not that particular one. So who knows? Timmy lived off knocking on doors asking for, oh, well, everybody was like, come on in when Timmy was knocking on the door back in the day. Back in the day when we had door-to-door salespeople, they just, everybody was so opening. You just couldn't wait to let the, parade of, Tupperware, Encyclopedia, Avon, you name it, sales folks, passing your door in the 1970s and 80s. As a man, my bad. Well, we did too, but who knows behind the scene? Oh, people who buy him coffee should know that their money goes straight into the trash. Well, I mean, at least it goes straight into something that's going to be turned into either something straight into the trash if it's food items he purchases with it. If it's something else, he's probably going to return it for a refund. Oh my gosh. Tim's reliving his childhood, sad. Yeah, is that something I don't really want to relive as my childhood? I get to relive kind of a childhood every day because obviously taking care of a child that's almost 3, I spend a great deal of my day singing songs from Sesame Street and singing I know a lot of songs that children like. So I do a great deal of singing throughout the day. So thank you, Chris. We really do appreciate that. So you know what Tim has to say about that, though?
I can't even get erect.
When his turncoats are just giving us money, that's what's going to happen to Tim. Oh, yes. Bev is doing well. Oh, we're so glad to hear that. Thank you for letting us know. I'm so glad. And thank you, whoever asked in the chat, asking JJ how Bev's doing. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yes. We're always happy. I know we do get occasional updates from you on the channel. And we're always thinking and praying for Miss Bev and hoping that she's doing well. And little Miss Kaylee, too. We hope everyone down there in Florida is doing good with this colder weather, because I know you guys aren't used to it. Oh, you're over that bike in the dirt. Oh, yeah. So let's go into that thing about the bike. So let me go back to sharing Tim. Sorry, I'm getting a really sexy sounding voice over here. I'm sorry. That thing where he says he can't even get erect. I'm sorry, guys. That thing is just too funny for me. That's what he says on his channel. It's not my language. I mean, it's medical, but come on, Tim. Make sure you hit the likes coming in, guys. All right. So what we got over here? I wanted to look at a short first, okay? Because Tim's been really popping out the shorts. So sometimes when you want to get a quick, Tim suddenly just started popping out shorts left, right, and center. I don't think he was doing a ton of shorts, but maybe he does. He seems like he does quite a few shorts. So that's, something that he does. A lot of shorts. So this one, he said he was talking about his, let me get this one, his KLX. All right.
Hey,
Let's get to this one first.
hey, how's it going, everybody? Sarasota Tim, coming to you from Ace Hardware, where these guys hooked me up with all the hardware that I need to put my Battleborn lithium 100 amp hour battery in my Flagstaff camper. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the KLX 300. I was on my way to the dealer this morning, and I was going to make sure that they would please, I was going to be as nice as I could, but please ride this bike. Something's not right. I've got detonation. I've got pinging. I've got something that just isn't right. I'm hearing like valves fluttering, exhaust leaks, something ticking, something going on. And it did it from the moment I drove it off the lot, on the lot. I didn't even drive it off the lot. You buy these bikes and then you get to ride them. Most people don't get a test drive. But anyway, I've been looking and talking to AI and doing different things. And even though you don't need to put high test gas in certain motors that are high compression or low compression, doesn't really do you any good as far as power, but it does ignite the fuel. This is a very lean motor. So I went on chance, well, by talking to AI, and I put in 93 octane in my KLX 300. I never went to the dealer. I don't need to go to the dealer. This thing runs like a raped ape. Man, I am so stoked about my bike now because I love this bike. It looks good.
All right, before we continue with this. Well, the dealer could easily look up Tim's videos and see that he's been modifying stuff. He probably null and void the warranty. I doubt they'll take it back with the way I dread the side. Yeah. Well, okay. So here he says, not going to go to the dealer. Okay. Don't forget the cardinal rule number 1 of Tim. Can't believe a damn word this man says.
I put all these mods on it, but when I wrote it, I kept hearing like detonation, pinging. It wasn't really.
Oh, keep going, Tim. Sorry.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Sorry.
Sarasota Tim.
Let me
Coming to you
here.
from.
No,
Guys
let me
hooked me up
speed
with
it
all the
along.
hardware that I.
This is the
wasn't
longest
really
show ever.
definitive as detonation, but it was like that. But the 93 octane took care of everything. If you have a Kawasaki 1-cylinder 300cc motor and you think you can run just 87 octane, this has only got 2-gallon tank. Spend another 50 cents a gallon or 75 cents a gallon, whatever it costs, and put your 2 gallons of gas in there and start getting some serious power and some serious sound the way it's supposed to be, and then you'll be crushing it.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So that's where we kind of left him. And he does have some longer videos, but obviously Tim puts out so many videos, and I wanted to take a look at that Social Security with the Baker math. We're just going to look at the KLX stuff over here because he's got so much that I feel, I don't know. I personally think that he does not, they tried to charge him a restocking fee. Yeah, he's not going to like that. Yeah, how dare they? how dare these? Because they're tired of people like you, Tim. So let's see, so Tim's saying, because he put out a video this morning where he talks about, so concerned about the bike. And I'm like, God, this guy is just setting up a scenario where, because he talked about how much he loved the bike and stuff. He's had it for a while now. And now he's like, oh, this bike's got this sound. And I'm like, Tim must be hurting for money and want to get his money back on this bike. And he's realized it's not the content gold factory he thought it was. And he realizes he doesn't really want to ride that thing out in the Mohawk desert. Tim, I can't imagine you riding along and bugs in your mouth and stuff. You're just way too prissy for that. So let's catch up with Tim and the KLX 300 before we check out Tim math.
Sarasota Tim, coming to you from Sarasota Power Sports. Look at all these machines out here, man. Oh my gosh, they're crushing it. There's my salesman over there. I want to go over and talk to him. I did bring my bike in, even though it's running 100% perfect. I wanted to show him my mods that I've done to it. And the service guy back here, he already rode my bike one time when I complained about this detonation sound, and he remembered me well. I said, well, guess what? Remember me again. So he's going to go out and ride it right now. I know it's a lot better since I put that 93 octane in, but I'm in the area and it's kind of slow right now. He said he'd be glad to ride it just to make sure I'm completely satisfied before I go all the way out west. So there it is over there. I got my helmet right here, the keys in it. I told him, I said, go out and take it for a good ride. Tell me what you think. So he's going to come back and I'll let you know. Crush it.
All right. That was Tim's last short. So who knows? So said he wasn't going to take it there. Telling you, he's trying to unload this thing back on them and try to, after he's tinkered around and messed this thing up, in my estimation. And that's why he's been talking so much about the warranties and stuff. He's like setting up the con. It's wild. Oh my God. All right. So let's get to his channel. Okay, so that was the last one he did. And then he's been doing all these walking ones and the let's go geezers and all this blah, blah. Okay, let's get over to the videos. Like I said, I'm going to show some very interesting paperwork shortly at the end. So, my goodness, I promise you, it's only been a few days and Tim's got more videos than a pancake house has cups of coffee. I'm just telling you, it's so many. And it's just all this stuff. He's breaking in his Kawasaki. My Kawasaki, this, so he's kind of covered. Then, okay, this is a funny one. The true classic t-shirts for men. Now, if you remember the other day when we had our live stream community one, like public one, and I spoke about how Tim was misusing, and I think Miss Vicky's spoken about this on her channel also, the Amazon links and how he has them in his channel descriptions without actually having a product that he's even showing. So he's literally just using it as like a donation route through his description box over there. A little different, I think, from like a buy me a coffee or a Patreon link or something. So today he goes and does a t-shirt, 4-minute ad for these t-shirts. And he pops down his affiliate link for Amazon. I'm like, Tim is watching when he's like, obviously taking advice from us, like, hey, you should probably like show the item and then put the link in, not just like talk about his Amazon. Oh, and he's been really going on about how, there was one this morning, I think it was in this morning chat, where he talked about his Amazon was like, he hadn't made anything. Like he had a rough January on his Amazon. So it was nothing to talk about when he used to have, like, I guess he used to make a lot of money from it. Oh my goodness. You're going to lose. Yeah, he's going to lose weight. He's going to, hey, Dark Phobia, come on in. Yeah, he's going to do all sorts of stuff. All right. We're here for Baker Math today. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? This is what's so wild. It says, why collecting Social Security? And then it's got like this like little symbol here, which comes in for some reason right there. So I guess he put an object in. There we go. It's kind of a picture there. Social Security at age 62 in 2026 is a smart thing to do. Thomasy found that title from somebody else's because Tim can't have an original thought. All right, let me get over here. All right, Tim. Oh my God, we're gonna have to speed him up, guys. You know that. About to say I'm gonna have to check in on the Olympics. Hey, America won the gold. I was so excited because the young man from Virginia, Ilya Malinin, did so well. And I have like less than 6 degrees of separation from this ice skater because my friend's nephew is friends with him and skates and trains at the same rink as Ilya. So I feel like it's not only is he from Virginia, so we're supporting our boy from Virginia. He helped take home the gold for US yesterday, so I was excited. So we're very excited over here. We've been hoping that he does well, so I'm excited. All right, Tim. Tim says he knows nothing about the Olympics either. All right, which video? Oh no, this is not the video I was looking for, Tim. I'm looking for your Social Security. Not joint harbor freight. I looked at that nonsense the other day. All right. I was like, why are we talking about harbor freight? Oh, goodness. Okay. Let me put in the 1.5. Oh, he's been talking about the fact is like members went down, his subscribers, sorry, and how it must be all bots he lost. Oh, Tim. Who knows? Who knows who he's watching? I know he watches me. All right, take it away, Timmy.
I wore it out, and I'm now back on. Are you ready? McAfee, baby, McAfee. Best cup of coffee I've ever drank in my life. But I'm going to mix it up with some St. Louis Scott coffee because I got
we call him little cousin Max. That's my friend's nephew. But like I said, one day I was like looking at my phone. She just sent this picture of her nephew with him. I was like, why am I seeing Elia on my phone in a picture with my friend's nephew? This is, and sorry, I'm snuggling up. And yeah, it's exciting. I know he's awesome. He's from Vienna, Virginia. Go Nova.
Plenty of Dunkin' Donuts, and I drank my share of this over the many years of my life. Original Dunkin' Donuts. St. Louis Scott, man, he was extra generous. He sent me 2 big old things of it. Thank you, St. Louis Scott. He's a good commenter too. He's always commenting. Really, really friendly. Wouldn't mind meeting you one day. Many of you wouldn't mind meeting. So yesterday and a couple of the last couple of evenings, not much on the evening chat. It was an afternoon, late afternoon that I finally posted. I forgot to actually get that one video up yesterday. I mended it and got it all prepared. I forgot
Can you imagine you just like thought, let me figure out why collecting Social Security at 26, at 62 in 2026. There's too many 6s and 2s somewhere. There's something more than that. It's, a smart thing to do. Then they hear Tim talking about whatever nonsense this is. I'd be like, click out. It's clickbait. It's clickbait. It's not allowed on YouTube, Tim.
Make it public. And I apologize for the audio a little bit. I was listening to my video of the bike that I completed all the mods on, and it sounded like I was talking in a tunnel. Now I've got the mic on today. That wasn't the issue. I didn't necessarily need the mic when I've got the phone near me, but I neglected to use
That's wild.
my selfie stick. Instead, I was holding my hand, and I think my hand got in the way of the several mics on the 17 Pro. And anyway, according to AI, that's probably why it sounded. I don't like it when the audio is no good, because you can deal with a little bit of a video issue, but man, if you can't hear the person. And what about those videos you watch on YouTube where these people want to put music, the most annoying music, and most of the time they put it way too loud.
Tim didn't think that maybe he could just put a voiceover with some music on the video if he wanted to keep the footage. That's why you've got things like iMovie on your iPhone, Tim, and stuff.
And they're talking over it, and it just continually loops. It's just
I don't even.
I think I've.
Tim, you're supposed to be a full-time YouTuber, creator, and influencer, getting all this stuff that you can have like your literal Sarasota QVC over there on the Bradenton slab. And you have like no idea how to like even do the basics, it seems, of like putting a video together or something for your audience at this point. So I'm popping out videos with like clips in it and like music and typing sounds and all sorts of stuff. Tim, I'm doing that on my lunch break while I'm eating my lunch and charting somehow and keeping an eye on my patient all at the same time. And then I upload it. So I just do that stuff on my phone. So, Tim, you've got no excuses. I'm doing that while at my prison job.
Only watched 1 or 2. I can count them on 2 fingers how many videos I've seen that have an audio that's tolerable. I'm just cleaning my stove here. I'm going to fry some eggs. I'm on the 5 eggs. 5 eggs. I'm back on carnivore. We got to keep it interesting here, folks. Can't leave a damn thing I say.
No.
So yeah, I'm on.
No, Tim. Nobody thinks it's interesting. People just find it disingenuous and kind of ridiculous. I mean, I hate to use strong words like that to describe people's behaviors. Even though I am a registered nurse and licensed to practice here in the United States, I don't do any treating or diagnosing of Sarasota Tim. I mean, it's just seriously, Tim. I mean, I did a retro react the other day where you were lining out your statin medications and you were talking. Tim, I mean, is this part of the reason why you're having issues? I think this is the reason. I think the carnivore diet might be leading to a little bit of this, Tim.
I can't even get erect.
Jeez, you see what I mean, Tim?
Carnivore, because here's the reasons. 1, you lose weight, okay, which is the mainest thing. To people that are on carnivore, that isn't the main thing for them. And a very, very close second is the health, the blood work, your muscles, your stress levels, your energy levels, your desire to eat all the time without the insulin spikes and the sugar. Yeah, I know all about it, but I failed. Those holidays, thank God, they're way down the road, which will be here before.
And I know Soda Tim probably takes a lot of time and effort on his AI videos and any of those types of videos when they look very cleverly done AI. I understand that actually does take some time because you've really got to spell out to the AI what you want it to create. Can't like give it half a sentence, you really have to be specific. So those videos, those are excellent. I know they do take time. You do have to have a certain amount of creativity. You're going to be using a lot of stuff to get into there, but you still have to have time and effort. It's not as, simplistic as you think.
And
JJ also puts out some really cool videos and does some nice things too. And Darling, a lot of people put some like creative effort into stuff. Far more than Tim does. We get way more creative with Tim's content than Tim does. It's usually how it goes.
And the end of the year will be here, right? That's just how fast time is going. So I want to talk a little bit about living solo at 67 and on Social Security with a side hustle. And
Tim, everyone thinks Tammy in the background. Let's count how many plates you got over here. Have you been cooking Tammy a steak and a zing? What you got over here, Tim? What you got over here? You always got to look on Tim's counter and see what he's got going on. Tim's always going to give himself. Well, Tim's an interesting character.
And living in an RV, I had a couple of neighbors that were going to go to a place north of here. A couple of neighbors are leaving. For whatever reasons they have, they're moving out. And I don't know what they're paying, but I know one neighbor was going to go and pay like $550 a month. But it wasn't Sarasota, baby. And this individual decided to stay. Some things changed for them financially. He got a job, a side hustle. He doesn't collect Social Security, though. He's too young. So he has to have a prison job. But anyway, I'm glad he's staying. I know him. He's a good neighbor. We look out for each other and all that stuff. And all my other neighbors here. But most of them are all geezers like me that have plenty of money. Well, they do. I don't. But yeah.
So which is it, Tim? Tim has been off about and then he mentioned in one of his videos, and maybe we'll do his morning chat if I feel like I've got the energy. Talked about his having 2,000 in Social Security. Having plenty of money again. It's like, which is it, Tim? Got no money? You got plenty of money. You need your subscribe. Oh, that was it. He said he made more money than ever in the month of January on his AdSense. That doesn't seem possible. A couple of years ago, Tim, you had so many more views. And I can't imagine that your AdSense can be that great, considering that your engagement from your audience, probably with your content, is terrible, which is part of what your AdSense is based on. You have no comments. And the only thing, anyway, I just feel like he just lies. He just lies, and he knows he's lying, and he lies in order to annoy me. It's all about me. No, not really. But I think just to annoy the trolls.
Anyway, let's have some coffee. And this is McAfee, baby. Let's check the color. First, let's put the cream in there. Heavy whipping cream, baby. It's the best. Yeah, I know. It's carnivore.
Yeah.
That's carnivore cream. I've got a burger being defrosted for today. And I made a ribeye steak last night, one of those prime ones I bought at BJ's a week ago or something. I've pan fried it. It was amazing. I'm going to buy more of those. They're expensive, but prime counts. But today, my diet is going to consist of sometimes when I get hungry in the middle of the day and before it gets too late, one or the other. This is salmon, wild caught.
Wow.
I love salmon pan seared. I also got that at BJ's. And if that's really, really good, I'll pick up some more and keep up with the fish and the meat, baby.
Well, after he talks, oh my gosh, 42 minutes. People are still coming in thought this guy was talking about Social Security. He's talking about a carnivore diet. This is officially not what you're supposed to do. YouTube supposedly has policies about this. You're not supposed to put up a title about one thing to get people to view your shit about another. Which is what you did. You clickbaited your audience. Because at some point, at probably minute 37, you'll get into the topic at hand, Tim. I don't know if this is part of your solo living at Social Security. I don't know how this is anything to do with Social Security.
Meat, baby, meat. All right, let's check out the color.
Jeez.
Oh, I got 3 scoops of McAfee in there with one of those big bottles of water. I have heard lately, look at that, gold, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard that drinking water out of these plastic bottles, I was watching a YouTube.
Oh, thanks for that laugh. That just shows how, like, you know what? Tim's got one thing to say about that.
I can't even get erect.
Because when he reads stuff like that, that's how most of America feels.
Video. I had a couple people that were just constantly on me about stop drinking. Where do you buy glass water bottles? You know, and I don't want to, drink it out of the spigot, even though I've got a filter out there of the water, but it goes through the hose and it sits out there in the sun. That's spigot water. Spigot, I say. But I don't know. You can buy it in the glass bottle. They're kind of expensive. They're heavy. So, whatever. Let's try this out. Look at that color. See that? Yeah. Slurpable. Oh, folks, come on. You know McAfee when you taste it. Oh, man.
I don't know.
Folks, that is the best.
I don't know. They control away. They make me laugh because what they write is so hilarious. All I can imagine is they're down in the basement typing that stuff out.
Of coffee I've been drinking in my life. Man, that's good coffee. I'm not going to be able to put it down. I'm not kidding you. McAfee, baby, with the cream, heavy whipping cream. There's just, from my palate, it just don't get any better than that. Break out the old Milwaukee. Oh, God, that is to my heart. I love it. So anyway, I'm going to make some eggs here. And then walk, baby, walk. Yesterday, I got no gym and no walking. I got out there about, 9:30, 10 in the morning till right at dark, putting all those mods, which was only a few things, but it took me all day, on the bike. And I'm just going to put some miles on it now before I add those tires. I've got a new lithium battery coming. I ordered a new tent, a big cabin tent. It's a 4-person tent. Two really. They always exaggerate that. But the little nightcap is for the Gullwing motorcycle to travel with. It's small. It's fine. I can sleep in it. And when I travel on the Gullwing, it'll be in the summer. And I don't have to worry about needing a heater in there or whatever. But this cabin tent that I've got coming. I
guess the other tent's gone to the wayside. I tell you, he is just, Tim has always been a shopping fool. Let's put it that way.
Stand up in it, put my britches on. I can put a heater in there if I need it at night when I go to Boynton Beach, because it has plenty of floor space for my air mattress to be only a tiny portion of the floor. And I have all this other area to put my suitcase, bag, whatever you want to call it, and the heater and any other items, even a table, a chair. It's not that big cabin tent, but it is a tall, like 6 foot, and it's straight wall. So it kind of acts like a sail if there's really a lot of wind. You would have to tie out with guy lines to hold it down. But under normal conditions, it's just fine.
Tim, you might as well just have this thing listed on Facebook Marketplace already, because you better check to make sure there's not a restocking fee. That is your homework prior to your purchasing of anything, Mr. Baker. No more complaints about the restocking fees. You gotta find out first. Don't get mad at companies afterwards. They have these practices because people like you abuse these things. And they probably have a bunch of other influencer people who are trying to pull the same other shenanigans. There's a bunch of these people that they buy stuff. And there was a whole thing on some young guy who was on TikTok and showed that he was supposedly super charitable. And in his videos, he would go to stores and buy items supposedly for children who were in need and do all this stuff. Well, you never saw the kids get it. You just saw what he bought. And guess what? Stores finally, like some employees at one of the stores finally told on him, said, no, he comes back and returns it all. And people would be sending him money and, to go and do his good work and everything, which is why it's one of the reasons why I try to show receipts of what things are going to as much as I can without doxing myself too much. Just to show that when I'm honestly doing things like legally with Tim, these things are legitimately happening. These are not just things that I'm talking about, you know?
Especially with my stuff inside. So I'm excited about that. That'll be Monday or Tuesday. And what's today? Sunday? So tomorrow or Tuesday. I have a couple of other things coming that I ordered. I did go ahead and buy another rim lock for the front tire whenever I put my new knobs on. I just don't want any chances. When I go out west, I don't want to be sitting on the side of the road or the trail, trying to fix a tire or push it or whatever, which, you're not going to do that. Can you imagine trying to push it back to camp up a hill or mountain? No way. I want it to start. I want the tires to stay up. And I don't want anything to bend or break when I drop it or fall over if that happens. And I don't want to get hurt either. So I want to wear a helmet, shoulder pads, and knee pads.
How many months are we going to actually hear him talk about this trip before he returns? Well, we already know the bike is getting closer and closer to its demise. And if they won't take it back because Tim's tinkered with it too much, it'll be on Facebook Marketplace. I think there's a bitter pill of regret that Tim has been swallowing since the purchase of the KLX 300. Probably even a bigger one for the Goldwing, which he never rides. I watched some interesting things about motorbikes yesterday. And some motorbike guy, he had like a motorbike shop and stuff, was saying about how the Goldwing was just like some posing motorcycle or something. Like it isn't really like, for like really guys who want to ride motorcycles. Tim's just a poser.
The proper foot of tire, which I've got everything. And my leg will not go across that thing unless I have all the proper gear. I'm very excited, very, very excited. I've even got a subscriber that lives out there out west. I've been talking to him like, man, you got plenty of money. Why don't you just buy a used one and ride with me? He says, the only reason I don't have one is, I really don't have anybody to ride with. And I'm like, well, I got the same problem.
I do.
It would be nice, think about it. Riding out in the desert with your buddy versus by yourself. And I watch these guys on YouTube. It looks like they're 1,000 miles from anybody. And maybe they're not from getting help, or a lot of them look like they are. They take that loop around Moab and stuff. So, it is what it is. That's why I'm saying I don't have anybody. I'm spontaneous. I'm going to go do my.
I wonder if did he sell the seat yet? Because usually we get like a whole story about how he met some nice young man, and he goes, it's just like a whole like diatribe about what this person looks like and what they do for a living and stuff. Like his whole backstory on this side character we never see. Tim, you got to keep us to the characters we know. So we got Fred Raphael, we got Teddy and Jolene, we got Timmy Applebottom out in California still. But I think he is the only one who is legitimately talking to Tim, but he feels safe because he's on the other side of the country.
Own thing. So I want to make sure that I have everything what I need. And I think I've got it right about there right now. So as one of you suggested in his comments to put some more miles on it before switching those tires, probably a new subscriber that saw the title of the KLX.
No, anybody new is trying to figure out how they're over 11 minutes into your video, Tim, why is collecting Social Security age 62 in 2020s? And you haven't touched the topic, really. Talked about solo living at 67 or something, which has nothing to do with this. Damn. You're abusing YouTube's platform.
Younger people watching the channel. I appreciate that.
Younger people.
I've always, listened to the comments. If there's a pro tip, I got a brain. I know a tip when I hear it, whether it be cooking, the motorcycling, whatever, from the ladies, the guys, the young, the old.
You don't take tips from anybody, Tim. You shadow banned half of the YouTube platform. This is a community of people you banned primarily. That's why we're still watching your story, because people are like, what has this guy got going on? And then they realize, wow, he's like hiding all sorts of shady stuff. We're just waiting to see how long it takes to get you on the news in Sarasota. Sarasota Tim, or Timothy Baker Sr., otherwise known as Sarasota Tim, I wouldn't say popular YouTuber. A YouTube creator was recently found guilty of wire fraud by the U.S. government for EIDL. We'll take a look at a lawsuit in about 2 seconds, Tim. Keep going.
I listen, I do. And thank you for, taking the time to share or just commenting. I mean, wow. I don't get thousands or hundreds of comments. Probably would if I let the trolls stay on there, but they're all been blackballed. So yeah, but at least they watch the videos, every last one. Thank you very much, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome, Tim. We're his favorite trolls because he gets to see all your comments. Just if you watch it, all your comments are up on the screen, guys. Every single one of them. I just let that thing fly up.
Man, that's good coffee. So today I will, it's 70 degrees today, 40 something this morning. Space heater is running right now. Electric bill is soaring. I'm up to $2.44 a day from $1.25. Then the utility prices increased in 2026. And never lost my door.
Can't put up that Tar Heel. Chubba, leave that on the screen.
So I was talking to AI, and I told you, AI, you got to take with a grain of salt, but they're very accurate on some things, like getting specs and foot-pounds of torque and just information, I'll be installing the Battleborn battery today in my flagstaff.
Tim, you love some AI. I get it. What if you told the AI this?
I can't even get erect.
What if you told the AI that? What would they say? Take sildenafil? Sildenafil? You know what I'm talking about, Tim.
I went to put it in yesterday, and I discovered that the lithium battery.
I'm trying to say the little blue pill. I'm trying to say Viagra. Sildenafil. That's how it's SILDNFIEL, something like that. It's generic.
Have currently, the bolts go straight down in the battery. The Battleborn that was given to me has flag posts. I only learned that's the name of them through AI. So the bolt goes in sideways instead of down. Well, if it goes in sideways, it needs a nut. This one in the front now, it just screws in. And I don't have the hardware. I don't have the nuts to go in the back of these. And likely, with my solar, I will need a little longer one, same size, but a little longer one to go in these flag posts. So I'll go to Ace Hardware or Home Depot or something today. I'm going to get the hardware. I'm going to do that mod and put that Battleborn 100 amp hour. I have a 100 amp hour lithium battery now, and it's perfectly fine. And I'm on shore power, and I don't tow it much, but I will. But I want.
He really said that. No, it might have been about something. Yeah, he said that. It's not AI. We clipped it. Well, Miss Vicky clipped it. I told Miss Vicky I'd share it. We're wicked.
They're better, I mean, a Corolla and a Camry, they're both Toyotas, but one's probably a little better, a little more, technology or something with the battery management system that the Battleborn has. It's too good of a battery to sit there when it could be doing its job in here. And I'll have the other one as a backup. Plus I got my generator and stuff. Talking about 67 years old and living like this is the absolute bomb. For a guy like me that's paying way under $1,000 a month to live in something that's paid for.
What? Okay. All right. Bullshit right there. Pardon my French. I don't think it's less than $1,000 a month. Is it? Or is it just under 1,000? Sharing is caring. I do not. I'm going to have to call the lady over at your RV park. Is very nice. And you have a larger lot too as well, Tim. You've got like one of the larger lots, which is only a few that size. So that might have been because there weren't many left remaining, because the larger lots are probably a little bit more expensive. So you're paying whatever the top dollar is over at that RV park, because you've got like one of the largest lots there. Because I saw the map. I don't want to dox your location, but I know that's what we see. That's why we see so much, space around you. So he lives in a parking lot, pretty much. Yeah, he pretty much lives in a parking lot, but he's got way more slab than and the little shed and stuff. And I don't think that comes with every lot site there. So I don't know if it's under 1,000. We might have to find that out. Now, you saying about the RV paying paid off. Now, that is potentially true, only in the respect that it came from the $58,400 of EIDL money, along with the sale of the wolf pup, which probably also had some EIDL money and potentially, well, the PPP you used on your personal expenses. So, Tim, you openly said at the beginning of 2020, when everything started and the government said that you could not do your little belly-to-belly sales anymore, you closed your oil change business down at that time in 2020. Your UCC filing for your EIDL, and you know, I've shown this paperwork 1,000 times. Let's make sure we always show it though, because you know, gotta come in here with receipts, Tim. You know, we don't want to just not have it. I think this is the one. This says copy. I think this is the one that's clean. Yep. Okay. Can use this one because I've made sure to take out some personal information. So I get flagged by YouTube. But there's your UCC filing, Tim, that you made in June the 21st. Oh, June. It was in June of 21. And that was a good, solid, almost year and a half since you said you shuttered your oil change coupon business down. And these monies were directly for payroll, to help with, you know, debt, but business debt, not your personal debt, which is what you used to pay this off. You had no business. This was to help you maintain your business afloat and alive during these times, of which you clearly had said you had no business. In fact, the business that you attached this to supposedly only opened in January of 21. So how did you end up getting all this money? You must have said, and you did this stating that it would be perjury if you made false statements about numbers of employees and payroll and so forth. That was perjury, Tim. All right. Just like to always remind Tim what he gets up to. All right, back to Tim. But we're going to take a look at a very interesting case recently that's going to mirror what Tim should go through.
For just the lot rent
in my
and
opinion.
my utilities compared to an apartment that would be $1,600, $1,800, $2,000, depending on the amenities and how luxury you want to live, even for a one bedroom, even for an efficiency.
Yeah.
It would be hundreds of more dollars each month that I can spend on travel, vacations, fuel,
that's right.
clothing, shoes, whatever I want to spend it on, besides handing it over to a landlord. This is the way to go. This particular camper is, you know, just by pure luck of spotting it 2 years ago. Look at all these campers out here. Look at them all over the RV parks. Look at them all over the RV selling lots. Look at them.
What?
Thousands. And I've got the very numero uno, under 30 feet, pull behind in America. Absolutely. For the price point, the value, the floor plan, the looks, everything about it, the solar, all the stuff. The materials, the 6-sided aluminum walls, the ASDEL, the flooring.
Well, that's great, Tim, if you actually did any care maintenance. This is like this is called like dry core, I believe it's called. Dry core, something of this nature. It's like a sealant, and you're supposed to take care of this, Tim. This is probably from the coffee maker. This, you know, but you do have to take care of this stuff, Tim. You got, look at that. I'm the best YouTuber.
The Goodyear Endurance tires, the Dexter axles. It is incredible value. And they're like 50 grand now. And I gave 30 for this with my Wolf Pup camper, which is basically like, I only gave 30 because that camper paid for itself. I lived in it for 2 years, that Wolf Pup. I didn't owe it anything. It didn't owe me anything. I lived in it rent free.
Well, I think you used that was probably the original EIDL money, because your YouTube stuff didn't take off until 23. So I want to say the EIDL went to the Wolf Pup and whatever Toyota 4Runner or whatever you were driving around at the time. And then, because you were like, talking about, you were doing your public job and, you still, even after you were able to get Social Security, went for that SBA money. You went for that money, Tim. You just said, oh, they'll never find us. How are you going to show that you had an operational business or a business that operated afterwards? It cannot be your YouTube business, Tim. Okay, it was not going to be your YouTube business. Wasn't really in existence in 2021. And and then I think in 23 you got probably that big chunky of change from YouTube when your 62 Social Security video went, sadly viral for Tim regurgitating somebody else's content. Somebody should just, he's so, and then so it was a combination, probably the EIDL from going into the Wolf Pup. The Wolf Pup traded up in along with the YouTube money, where you probably shouldn't have gotten that money either.
For 2 years. So whatever they gave me was just found money. And now my $30,000 that I gave, I've received $24,000 back. You say, what do you mean? Yeah, I got a rebate. $24,000 of the money I gave
fee.
Camp Oaks. 24,000 of the 30 has been put back in my bank. You say, how's that? That's because that $1,000 a month that I'm saving over an apartment that I would have been paying. If I didn't buy this, I would have spent, that money in rent. But by buying this up front, and then what I save on lot rent and from not having an apartment each and every month, it's just like I did for years when I was a roommate, and I only paid $500 a month, all in. And I was able to drive a brand new car that I leased for my business.
A brand new car that I leased for my business. Every time we cough, I just know Tim lying. There's a lot of people back in the day when they said leasing was good, but Tim probably wanted to look like he was always, in a newer car. So that's probably why he leased. Leasing is not very smart with the money. Generally, these leases are not financially wise decisions. Tim's always been all show. And then he got, got some stuff. And this is, his upgrade thanks to the YouTube money. That's because it would have coincided about the time he bought that. The Wolf Pup coincides more with the EIDL money.
And that was money that I didn't have to give for rent to give to a car and have these other things. This is why I have a few assets, because I don't spend it in rent or today, even a mortgage. I could argue the point that it is not a good deal to buy. Now I know someone that just recently purchased, and that's kind of, I want to redact that. Here.
Oh yeah, because Tim always likes to tell everyone, oh, if I wanted to buy now, I could just buy now if I wanted to. Under what work history, Tim? Where are you going to show the income? Your Social Security isn't going to be that much for a mortgage, I promise you. Not for Florida. And you're still going to have to show that SBA loan as being obviously monies you owe. So you're going to have to take that debt into consideration. Then whatever you popped on the care credit for your teeth. This is why you're so disingenuous, Tim. You just tell so many lies to the audience, and you just love to double down on this stuff. And I think that at some point it would be interesting to see how this plays out.
Let's say I had a pile of money right here, and I say, okay, I'll just, dribs and drabs. Forget the RV. Forget all this. I'm going to get an apartment, a condo, townhome, whatever, villa, not a house. I don't need a house. You can get a carport, you can get a garage, you can get all that with a condo. You don't need a home. Me, okay? So here's my thinking. I had a pile of money, and I said, okay, I'll just give dribs and drabs every month and rent. But then I'm subject to the rent going up, which I don't think it's going to do much anymore because, they're already coming down slightly, or they're just kind of leveled. They're not,
Tim, we have no idea, neither do you. I don't think the market can afford the rents to go up any more because people are not getting the type of income on, the majority.
Before they raised the rent $1,000 a month, $700 more a month than we used to pay just a few short years ago, and we stayed at that for years. That was like the general number. Even if you move.
Tim, you and Tammy probably tried to get like you're not having to pay any type of rent during the pandemic or rent assistance or something. I'm sure you two tried every scam possible, Tim. It's all for Tim, but nothing for anybody else.
That was always what you paid, within 50 or 100 bucks of where your last place was. Well, now it's the same thing. You'll pay $1,600 to $1,800, and it's likely not going to be much more for the foreseeable future, because we're in a certain downturn. People are losing their jobs left and right. This country is in bad shape for a lot of people. And we're going to talk about that in another video. I'm going to regurgitate some information that I received online, and I verified it's absolutely true. The labor market is, people are losing their jobs, and if they haven't lost it yet, they're gonna.
Well, Tim, you might lose your job on YouTube. For circumstance. But I hope not. Behave yourself. We got some Timflation and Tim math and Tim logic, and it's total Tim. Just overheard this video. I was just like, what did he smoke before he made this video? He just talking, and I'm like, who was buying this shite from him? This dude.
Millions. So now's the time to get your Social Security, because you think that job's going to be around for another 5 years. You might have another thing coming. Things are getting ready to change. So get your side hustle going, because that's what everybody's doing. They're working 2 part-time jobs. I'm getting off track.
It worked 2
I
part-time
had a pile of
jobs.
money, and I said, I'm just going to rent.
Tim, I think you may have something to do with some of the reasons why the economy might not be going great.
For $1,600 or $1,800 a month, and I'll still have my pile of money, just drawing it down, but slowly. Or I can take this pile of money and I can say,
Sorry, guys, I suddenly realized the microphone was off. Lord of my life. Keep going, Tim.
I'd like to buy something, even in these crazy prices today, but I just want to own it. All right, I'll take my pile of money. Instead of drawing it down slowly, I got to take half of it and throw it into the bank for 2 reasons: to have a reasonable mortgage, and for them to finance me. You can't just do like a car deal, no money down. You got to put money down, closing costs and all that. All right. So now my pile of money is shrunk. Still got some. And I gave it to this bank, and they're like, here's your payment book for 30 years. I'm talking about mortgage financing. I'm not talking about paying cash. We're not talking like that. We're talking making payments, baby.
I guess Tim's never heard of a home equity line of credit or anything, second mortgage. There's different credit lines you can get on houses if you have equity and stuff. Tim has no idea. He just thinks his money would be tied up. So it's like, who's listening to this man?
Because people like you and me, if you're watching me and you're just a schmuck like me, and I say that in the term of endearment, you ain't got no pile of money to pay $450,000 cash, $300,000 cash. And you'd wonder, if you had $300,000, if you want to just do that, when the market could change, and that $300,000 condo could be worth $200,000 in a year or 2 from now, because the crap's on the wall, man.
Yes,
and there's going to be a correction eventually. So now you're going to wait maybe never the rest of your life to ever see it go above what you paid for it. And if you wanted to sell it and get out from under it, if something happened and you needed the money, you'd have to come up with $100,000 of your own money to pay it off, because you owe $100,000 more than it's worth. Getting ahead of my story. So you take the pile of money, you put half of it, say $100,000 down on a $300,000 place. The average is $450,000. Let's go down to $300,000 for like a villa, condo, whatever like that. How much is your payment? You got $200,000 you're financing for 30 years. Do the math. Then you've got insurance in Florida, which is off the charts. There's only a couple companies to choose from, and it's getting higher. All the maintenance on the inside, you pay for. Stove breaks, refrigerator breaks, air conditioner breaks. Go to your little balance of your money pile over here and take some more out. And we're talking serious money. Now, if you're in a condo or a villa and you got an HOA, you pay that every month for the rest of your life. Even if you pay cash for the damn place, you're going to have $500 a month for the rest of your life, as long as you live there. And it can go up. You got to give them to cut your grass. And, if they want to change the roofs every 15 years or 10 years or whatever they do, they do that. And that's about it. You don't get it.
We're 23 minutes in. He's supposed to be talking about why taking Social Security at 62 is a smart idea in 2026. He got a lot of clicks. People will be like, I don't think he's mentioned his Social Security wild numbers yet. And he's just like, he's so angry he didn't buy a house. I could just buy it. Oh, shoot. Gosh dang it. I just noticed my thing came out. Keep talking.
Anything else? You don't get free electric, free water, free cable, maybe some mobile home parks. But no, you still pay. So now you put $100 grand down and you got a mortgage that's likely as much as the $1,600 to $1,800 a month rent that your neighbor's paying, the squatter, the renter.
Okay.
Now you're $100 grand less. Talking about financing people, not cash people. You got $100 grand less. You're paying the same amount as the squatter next door, and you own it. And if crap hits the fan, the squatter can say, I'm out of here. Give 30 days notice and leave, or wait till the end of his lease. You, on the other hand, are a prisoner. You're like,
no, because there was a time, Tim, when I worked as a travel nurse and I was making such good money, I could pay for my mortgage here and my condo fees and not think about renting it. And I traveled for about 18 months because I wanted to sometimes come back to Virginia Beach, to my home. My home is where all my stuff was. I wasn't putting my stuff in storage. Didn't want strange people in my home. If I wanted to suddenly come home for the weekend from where, because I was in North Carolina, South Carolina, I could. That was it. It was my place. I had one girlfriend of mine who would, I would let stay here when she was coming up from North Carolina. It was only one person because she was a really good friend of mine and I trusted her. It was the only person. She gave me a little bit of money for the rent too, because I let her kind of get my place at the weekends. And so when she had it, I didn't come home. So anyway, I still rented like apartments and farmhouses and all sorts of stuff and had a good time. So I don't know, Tim, you just have no idea. That's the sad part. And you have enough friends who have enough properties. So I don't know why you talk out your backside.
like, I don't like living here anymore. I don't like my neighbors. This thing dropped in value. I want to move to another state.
This thing
I need
dropped
to live
in
with
value.
my son or daughter because I'm so sick. I need to, whatever reason, I need to get out of here. I met somebody. I want to move in with them. They got a bigger place.
Yeah.
And your place dropped 100 grand, 50 grand in value because things are so accelerated right now. I see that likely to be the case. It's already happening in states that nobody wants to live in. It may not be happening here in South Florida because everybody wants to be here and it's keeping values up. But when people lose their jobs, as they are, and AI is taking over. And
Well, that's funny because I had found, and I wondered if it was our friend Tim or the other Timothy Ray Baker who happened to live in the area. But I found something from somebody who was some lady it was in 2012, and I couldn't see enough details about the court case to verify if it was our Timothy Ray Baker, but it was associated with the public records when I was looking at Jolene and Teddy. And it was somebody was forcing him to have to leave a property. It was like a landlord forcing an eviction on this person. Now, we know there was another Timothy Ray Baker down in that area, different date of birth. That was the one who got in trouble with or was the one doing the State Farm insurance thing. That's not this Timothy. So I don't know if it was in 2012, if it's our guy or if it's the other guy. I don't know. But somebody wanted to evict somebody pretty badly, but it never got to the end of the case. I only saw little bits of it. So that was interesting, especially the way Tim talks about stuff.
manufacturing has not even started.
I had to
this
verify
whole manufacturing
better. I
thing,
couldn't get
this,
any more
this influx of just
of the
inundation of building factories and putting all these factory workers, manufacturing people to work, hasn't even started. It's actually decreased. That's the video I wanted to make. It's decreased by 70,000 people, not increased one. And it takes years to build these manufacturing buildings and businesses. And with the uncertainty, it's a lot of, just like everything else you hear on that TV about the economy. It's very, very, it's a lie. It's nowhere near the numbers they say it is. It's nowhere as high as they say it is as far as jobs created. It's nowhere near as low as they say it is with the inflation. There's a bunch of crap. Okay. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know if you go to the grocery store, you'll spend $50 and walk out with just a couple of things. You're like, man, $50 used to buy me sacks of groceries. Sacks.
Them sounds like policies you voted for, Tim.
Probably when bags were paper. But it is true, And then, fuel, it could be cheaper. It's come down.
I got to give Tim a hard time, guys.
Here, $235. You got a membership at Costco. About $250, $260 is probably what you're going to pay. And you say, well, in 2026.
I just have to do it because, Tim hates me being liberal. It's burning the libs. So I got to say things that will irritate him. Just always remember, guys, the only person I'm trolling is Tim.
Hey, and the cars get better gas mileage. A lot of people are buying the electric cars or the hybrid cars. So, it's kind of an offset. But utility costs, rental costs, housing costs, food costs. And none of those things they actually calculate in what the government gives you the cost of inflation. They eschew that intentionally. So they don't have to tell you that inflation's 20% higher.
How they hide
so
their
let's say you
wealth.
made 50, 60 grand a year. Now you make 40 grand a year. If you didn't get a pay raise of 20% each year to offset, just like we don't get enough money on Social Security to offset the true cost of living, we got nothing for 40 years, except 1 year, about 3 years ago, we got a 4.7% increase. Normally it's about 2%, 1.5%. Then they raise the Medicare Part B cost. It's basically a wash.
I know.
I mean, it's hardly worth mentioning. It might blip $10 or $20.
Absolutely.
After your Part B.
That didn't help.
So we're all taking the money and the value of the dollar. The U.S. has got a bad credit rating now. They got a bad credit report. People are moving away from the dollar. They're using digital money. They're using crypto. They're using this.
Okay,
and gold is going nuts. Silver. Look at silver. So you tell me, with what we
Hey, that's good to know because we need to try to take this audience down. We just try to figure out who can deal with this. I just laugh the whole time. I'm just like, the only person got to be taking this seriously is Tim. And somebody who's 20 and knows nothing.
remember, at 67 years old, if you're my age, how money, we couldn't even spell crypto. We didn't know what a crypto was. Okay,
Yeah,
it was a
no,
horror
he's
movie.
not getting enough
growing up,
welfare.
We bought penny candy. I mean, for years, most of our lives, things were, hell, people only made 15 grand a year. 30.
We're going to get government welfare. It should be welfare for everyone of us, Tim. We should all get 58,400 to pay off debts and do a bunch of stuff. You got stimulus checks and all sorts of stuff. You know what I did with my stimulus checks, Tim? I paid my taxes and sent it right back to the U.S. government. Mine sat in a bank account because I had a business at the time. And I knew that my taxes were going to be worse than ever running my small business that year because of having to pay my own payroll taxes per se and my contribution to my Social Security. So, it ended up being a fair amount of money I ended up, having to keep paying out. So when I got those stimulus checks and everything else, it just went to the U.S. government. That was it. It just was the circle of life. Because that's what responsible adults do. Who don't want to screw everybody else over, Tim.
Grand a year was a lot of money. Then 50 grand a year became like, you're rich. And now, I mean, I guess people who get prison jobs don't even work for less than that. I think the average is probably 50 or 60. I think that's the median household income for two incomes. And when people losing their jobs left and right and companies going out of business, and because of their costs of metals and different things like that, even healthcare, I heard, that was one of the biggest jobs. It was foolproof, where they always needed healthcare people. But with an aging society and the higher cost of materials, hospitals and doctors are now, to keep that profit going and make those Mercedes payments, they're laying off people. They're not hiring. They're cutting back. Medicare, medical people. Medicare is paying less money than it did before because of new rules. These guys were.
He'll keep YouTube going as long as he can now that he's monetized, because he's got enough content that he's always going to be getting a little bit of something. So we'll just keep seeing these videos. Though I feel like his move to shorts is because he is potentially starting to tire out a little bit on making long content. There's no money to be made on shorts, by the way. That's why YouTube encourages creators to do it. They don't have to pay anybody for anything. These corporations don't want to give anybody any gosh darn money. That's why I laugh when Tim was like, my AdSense has been so good. What are you talking about, Tim? Everyone else has complained. It's not like you're Moist Critical getting like 1 million views a video. Push posh, Tim. You maybe get 20 views, 20K a day. You're not making anywhere like you used to, and you know it. That's why you're not giggling and laughing and in the golf shop.
Ripping the government off. And so to keep those profits up, who pays?
Ripping the
The people
government
that
off.
work for these companies. They're like, you're gone because we can't afford to keep you and pay
Ripping the government off, Tim. That's your job.
you $50,000 or $85,000 a year when we can do it on a skeleton crew, and all these things that we have to buy to do our business cost.
Do you think, other than the time that Tim was on YouTube, that he made more than $50,000 or $85,000 a year the rest of the time he was working throughout his life? The only time Tim made decent money was when he's with YouTube. And I promise you, he tries to write everything off because he don't want to pay a penny back on that Social Security money. He just lies. He does. He shouldn't even. Yeah, I love Moist Critical too. Hey, I try to watch other good creators in order to learn, in the hopes that I can talk about people other than Tim. Because I do love to do so. I do enjoy engaging with everybody. And I love research. I love that we're calling out the scammers. Because scammers are one thing that just irritate me, man. I just can't. There's so many scammers out here. Whether they're scamming a nutritional supplement or something, or claiming that they were the ones to invent and create, and you find out, that it's just a repackaged product from another influencer that they tried to sell, 6. This is wild. These people are wild. Even in the older, even us older folks have some wild influencers like Tim.
So much more money. And that's where that Liberation Day, they call it, when the tariffs started. And that's when everybody started. It's like, okay, well, I can't have 10 employees. I can't have 1,000 employees. I can have about 50% of those, 60% of those. The rest of them got to go. All customer service agents, all strategies of management, not just clerical people, not just people at McDonald's, because they can go to a kiosk and order their hamburger. White collar management people that overlooked people and gave schedules and micromanaged their productivity is now being done with AI, and it's sweeping like a tsunami. And these companies are like, not going to pay you $100,000 a year anymore. I can do it all with the algorithms and AI. And so, yeah, I'm getting off track. Let's go back to the house. You got a pile of money. You give it. You're paying the same amount of money.
What has this got to do with collecting? I promise you, I don't think it ever is going to touch the topic that's actually in the title, which is why this video is so wild. Why the Baker math is so wild. He's just trying to convince, I don't know who, what. But I know what he's trying to convince. That his life is better than everybody else's. We're all jealous haters. The only reason why we make any critical commentary about him is because he's all jealous. Because he's living his best life ever. And we all wish we could live the same way. I'm literally sitting here, Tim, holding a teddy bear.
Money on your mortgage, with the utilities and insurance as a guy renting. So what do? The day of buying real estate and building wealth and flipping it, and those shows, they don't even play those shows on TV anymore. Flipping houses. That was like a 5-year, maybe a decade, 6-8 years, when housing was just, people were making these shows, making 50, 100, 200 grand a flip, and just building all this wealth. And some people got banked, baby. They did it. But buying gold, buying silver, flipping houses, that day is over. It's over. The only people buying real estate now and paying cash are either super, super wealthy people that made all that money that I just talked about, or it's these BlackRock and Zillow and that kind of stuff. They're just buying real estate.
Or silver widows like Tammy, whose house with her husband was owned free and clear. So once Dwayne was no longer with her and had passed away, sadly, Miss Tammy could get that. I mean, that house sold actually for how plain that house was. That house actually got a lot of money. I was surprised. Shows you how wild real estate has gotten in Florida lately. And she said, you know what? I'm going to get myself something less that I need to take. She obviously didn't want to live in that house. Miss Tammy was saying easy like a condo, where they're taking care of all the outside. I couldn't believe it, guys. When I saw the exterior of Miss Tammy's condo, I had a little bit of a freak out because it looks exactly like the exterior of mine. It was like a design that they used up and down the East Coast. So I said, mine's nothing glamorous. I just got it really cheap. years ago. And I do need to sell it. Gen X and I talk about this offline. That we need to get these places sold. And we need to, because there is a time where you do need to say you got to take the equity and hopefully move it up into something else. And, while I'm still working and making a decent income, and even the YouTube money, though I lose most of it in fighting Tim in court, it can now, after 2 years, actually show the money as income. It's not much, but every little bit helps. It doesn't really make much difference on my mortgage, though. I already know how much I could borrow, Tim. Mine really isn't a matter of not being able to upgrade to a new home. Mine is I have a really low interest rate, obviously, on this house. So it's hard to want to give that really low interest rate up. So that's one of the things that I find quite difficult. To have to pay at a higher rate, I know they say about marry the rate or something. I don't know, but you just never know. I don't want it to go up. And I've got like a 4 point something at the moment. So it's hard to give those types of rates up.
Or the trillionaires.
Trillionaires.
Yeah, we don't have millionaires and billionaires anymore.
Okay,
Pretty soon we're going to have a trillionaire.
I haven't really
do?
chatted there.
No.
He
No,
was
well,
very
Musk will probably be a
negative.
Who knows what he's making every day, every second. So, was this doom and gloom? No, it was reality check. Living on Social Security with a side hustle with no debt in a roommate, RV, mobile home, a place you already have, like a villa.
So this is, Tim's just like, nope, there's only one way to do it, guys. That's it. You got to do it my way. Otherwise, the rest of you are jealous losers. He just thinks and every time he says he's debt free, I'm like, no, you're not, Tim, because one, you used to laugh and joke so much about the fact that and I think in that one video that you deleted, which still is on the internet, that you said that you didn't have to pay on that loan for like 2 years. So you got like so many, so you only just recently actually started paying on that loan a couple of years back. And it, fortunately for you, coincided at the time when your Social Security video, that was probably just somebody else's regurgitated content, blew up. And luckily it's starting to dip down in its views each month because it's getting dated now. Thank you for that.
Or condo or something that's paid for.
Okay.
Like my friends Fred and Raphael.
Yeah, like
I'll
Tim.
be embarrassed to tell you what he paid for that years ago. And he paid for it because it was less than the price of a car today. A nice luxury car today costs 40 grand more than they gave for their condo. And they just have their HOA, their small amount of tax.
Tim, my condo didn't cost much more than your truck. I got mine at $82,500. Okay. It was the last of the great deals. Every time after that, they all went up into the six figures. And now that's, it's up there in this, for a little condo because it's location. I understood that. As much as people tried to tell me I lived in the bad part of the beach and stuff, I still knew I was at the beach. And at some point, the neighborhood would be desirable. And it was in a good school district. Had all the important stuff. As my friend said, all we needed was a country club and a church across the street, and we would be set golden.
Grandfathered into some homestead thing, whatever that means. And the maintenance, they got, whatever happens, they've replaced their appliances. They did a few modifications.
Oh, he
decorated the bathroom and did a little, what do you call it, updating.
Everything.
And
Smart.
He's even told me many times, there's anywhere that he could live cheaper. So if you're one of those kinds of people, hey, God bless you. It's like me, basically in another kind of a level. It's a camper, but it's paid for. And I pay in lot rent what they're still paying anyway for insurance.
No, because you still owe probably well over $50,000 in EIDL money, Tim. So every time you try to say you're debt free and this is paid off and this, that, no, that's not right. See, this is where, you just think that we as the American just gave Tim Baker over 60 grand. Yeah, there you go. And then he'll pay, and he doesn't think he's assuming he'll die long before that thing ever gets, paid off. So, he kind of calculated, well, maybe I'm around for 10 to 15 years of a 30-year loan. He don't care. That's why he needs to be taken to court and he needs to be demanded restitution.
Away, and maybe their annual maintenance cost, because there's always something every year. You divide that by 12, they still have a cost. Something's always going
don't
to
have
happen.
money in the
So if it
stock
happens
market.
1 month in the whole year, but it costs $2,000 to fix it,
Tim would never even think just to get, I mean, that's one of the things that all I've wanted to do with my YouTube money is one, once I've paid for my dogs and their treats, the rest of it was to go into an index fund with Vanguard. I mean, I looked at funds. I know all sorts of things about those. Vanguard is my preferred place for me to invest my money. And I usually just do like basic index, on the S&P 500. I'm not going to get too fancy. Some EFTs, nothing crazy, I'm not trying to like do anything wild. That's it. Tim needs to stop taking up my money. Tell Tim to stop taking my money with his frivolous copyright shite. So I can have a little bit of extra jingle for my stuff too.
just divide that by 12. That's what your average cost is. So this is, the dilemma that we have in 2026, where people are going to be losing their jobs. They're not even 62 yet, but if they're 62 and they're working for another 5 years to get another $500 that may not even be there, or the cost of everything going up even more. I see no reason. It doesn't make any logical sense to me that a bird in the hand versus a maybe. And then you got to be alive. And then you got to have the vitality.
Tim definitely is like, he's enjoyed his get rich quick, and he just assumes he's just, oh my gosh. It's just, he got his eyes. It's just, he's so infuriating. I just despise the fact that there are people that listen and might actually take this person seriously. And the people that still support him, like TRD,
that you have at 62 when you're almost 70, like me, at 67. My back hurt so bad yesterday from bending down and doing all that stuff out there. I'm questioning myself, like, what's it going to be like out riding on the dirt? Of course, I think that's probably
great. Yeah, that's what, that's one of the things too, Tim. It's not where this comment came from.
I can't even get erect.
Is that where that comment came from? I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being childish.
Exhausting, but this bending over and going to the gym and doing a few things in my back for whatever reason, gosh. I mean, it takes me a minute to get erect. I can't even get erect. Don't get nasty. So I was like, God, I think in my mind young, but the back part, and it's just one of the things. You might have a bad gizzard, you might have a bad hip, a knee, hearing, eyesight, something that's going to wear out. And you got this bigger $500. I know people say, I get $5,000 a month. Let me tell you something. Take that and close that noise. Nobody gets $5,000 a month from Social Security unless you made $100 million a month every month for 30 years, 35 years. Because that's what
I mean, some people get some pretty decent amounts of Social Security, Tim. I mean, I think they do have a cap on like up to what amount of income. And then after that, I don't think you contribute to Social Security or something. I guess. I don't know. But I know, like, I'm sure my friend who's a nurse practitioner, shoot, she's never going to hurt during her retirement. I told her a long time ago, she was blowing through some money that she had inherited from her mom because she was trying to offset that with some, lifestyle stuff that she was enjoying, You can't blame a person. And the money that she makes now at the new place that she works, it used to be a healthcare company I used to work for, is substantial comparatively to what she made at this other smaller practice. And I said, you got to put that money into a brokerage account, girl. You got to get yourself a fiduciary financial planner. Just pay for a fiduciary and have them help you invest the money. Don't just waste it on trips and, buying, stuff for your skin or whatever you're up to, girl. Just don't do that. Don't be spending it on just Botox or some BS. And she had, so she comes to me a lot for financial advice. She was asking me recently if she should leave her healthcare and go on to her new husband's healthcare. And I told her not to do that. She lose her HSA and her tax benefits and stuff. See, I know a lot more than you realize. I'm not out here trying to pretend to be an expert like Tim. I stick to my material. Just healthcare, Tim.
Account. Here's your best 35 years.
My license.
So you're 1 in a million. You don't even need it. You probably got piles of money. Everybody gets $2,000. That's the average. Okay. I get 1,800. And that's not enough. Not enough anymore. You got to have a side hustle. A side hustle supplements that money. It gives you the freedom that you need to live your life from 62 onward.
No, nobody, you know what, Tim? there's a bunch of people that they don't look at him. They don't want to do that. They just want to retire. They want to think that they have time to visit their friends and their grandchildren. They've worked really hard. They diligently saved. They did the things, you know. It's been up and down for a lot of us. Gen X has had some recessions and all sorts of BSery loss. And, you know, we had to go through some crashes and 9/11 and a bunch of BSery. But we're resilient. And we still keep on ticking and trying our best. Stuff expensive at the moment, Tim. I'm petrified at how much this stairs and stuff. I'm hoping I can get a good tax refund, especially because it's just so much, you know, because I'm a single lady and I somehow still always owe Virginia money. And then Virginia will turn around and send a check to you. That's one thing I'll tell you. Virginia, if they took too much tax money, they'll send you a check, but God, Virginia taxes you.
And you're only going to give a few hours to a place to bring in some extra coin versus stay working, get to 67 or 70. Some people want to say, and then they get this.
Yes.
Okay,
I know.
maybe you'll get another grand or 1,500. I don't know.
I know boomers went through it too, but they were a little bit probably financially, maybe a little more prepared than maybe some of the later boomers had it a little bit harder than the earlier boomers. But Gen X really were considered to be the generation to get screwed on it. Look, I talked to AI about it, okay? I just tease. I just tease.
Think of all those years you got to wait until you get it.
Really
then all the years ahead of that as a
hit,
geezer, a real geezer, that you're going to be getting it. What are you going to do? I mean, you're a geezer now. I mean, extra geezer. You're geezer level 2. I'm geezer level 1.
Geezer level 1. What the geezer levels are this? No, Tim. You're going to be prison level 1, we hope. Well, at least you're going to be getting something as far as like a slap on the wrist and a need to pay back some restitution. So I hope you do have plenty of money in the bank because they're really starting to pick up on people. They really are. And people with much smaller amounts than you took, Tim. What legitimate business did you have? Tim probably thinks I'm not filing my taxes. They won't know I exist. Oh, they know you got that loan, Tim. You got to recertify that thing coming up soon. And that's where all of these dates are kind of interesting, because when you go to recertify that loan in 2026, Tim, I guess you have to show where it went with that business. And that might be a red flag, because what are you going to show?
I get to geezer level 2. I hope to look back and say, thank God I took my free check at 62 and I had a supplement income and I was still able to want to go and do what I'm doing. Because look at me now at 75 or 73. I'm just kind of, a lot slower. And I think I don't need to be driving a motorcycle, or I don't need to be this or that.
Well,
I just need a bottle of Geritol.
We could always say Gen X had the Gulf War, I had the stuff that I dated a young man, I dated a guy who was in Iraq and Afghanistan, seeing some really horrific stuff. So it's a lot, but they say the generation that really got economically really because when Generation X was graduating from college, was the time when the bubble burst, that Black Monday or Wednesday swan event that happened up in the late 80s and stuff. So there was a number of recessions, one right after the other. So just saying, they say that we really hit, but we stay quiet and resilient. Obviously, my parents haven't suffered recessions like I have.
And a chair. So, I mean, way over the money. It's your life. You can't change time and health. I mean, once it gets going, you get older and older and older. You're going to age. That's nothing you can do about it. So while you're young and you can get some free money and you can get a little side hustle and check out 25 or 30.
I can point to one boomer who didn't get sent to Vietnam. Do you think this guy ever served in the military? Here's one boomer who never went to Vietnam. That's probably why Tim was getting married and getting women pregnant, because that's how my dad got out of going to Vietnam at 20. Well, actually, the way he got out of going to Vietnam was he was told that he could, the choice was you could sign up to the Navy for like an extended contract. So I think if you did not want to be sent directly to Vietnam, you had to go into the military and say you were there for 20 years because that's in a submarine or something terrible. And that's what my real father did. Tim never served in the military. I've been more on a military ship than Tim has.
Hours a week from what you were giving of your life to give you yourself to go out and do and live your life, do whatever you want to do with those hours instead of giving it to some employer while they go live life and you sitting over there at the company running everything, doing everything, making them money.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I got off on a couple different tangents there. Let's have some more coffee. I'm all hopped up. I'm going to make my eggs now. But yeah.
I can promise you as an RN, I've never used Geritol with any of my geriatric population. I don't think so. I've never seen it. So I have no idea to it. Tim is like the oldest of the young boomers. It's like he acts like he's an early boomer and he was a late stage boomer, you know, not quite like a Gen X boomer who's like would be like 60, you know, early 60s. Like Keanu Reeves is kind of like a Gen X boomer almost. Because he's kind of, you know, very late, but his, you know, his sort of ways of being are more probably aligned with the, you know, no F's given Gen X. We have a very different, you know, way of being, which is why Tim probably's never had to deal with women like me before.
If you want to consider, you know, living a lifestyle of happiness, I would definitely encourage you to check out of that job and get your Social Security 3 months before you turn 62. You can apply for it.
My stepfather was 27 years in the Royal Navy, and he hated about every minute of it, from what I could gather. 27 years. He was an officer in the Royal Navy. Had a very important job.
And then you have to wait 4 months to get your first check because you got to be 1 month older than 62 to get your first check. They still jip you another month. I think they give it back to you when you die. But get that money coming in. And however many hours it took you to make $2,000 at your job, that's how many hours less you got to give to the job because they're giving it to you and you don't have.
Well, no, because 64 is up to Gen X, because Generation X starts in 1965. That's the cohort of Generation X. So he's a late boomer if he was born in 57. He's got to be a late end of it. Or like those who are born in like the 60s, probably more like the 60s up to 65, because that's when Gen X comes in. Because I'm 1969. So late boomers didn't come after that.
To go there. You can just do something else. And guess what? It might be less laborious. It might be more fun. It might even be exciting. And you might even have some benefits. Like I always refer to like handing out golf carts at a golf course and getting free golf. Because you're only going to be working a few hours a week, and then you can play golf for free.
I'm super Gen X. My whole life was so Gen X. It was ridiculous.
You know how expensive that is? That's like money you're getting too.
What are you talking about, Tim?
Or another level of people that have skill set. They don't want to be a W-2 person, be a greeter at Walmart. If you know how to fix things, RV repair.
What are you trying to, you know what, Tim? Reason why people retire in their 60s is because they don't want to get on the ground anymore to fix stuff. But you've never done anything physically as a job, so you're clueless. Nobody wants to retire with a side hustle, Tim. It's not retiring. You don't seem to get the idea. It's not retirement. Per the definition of retirement, that's not what that is. It's called working part-time. You sound just, you sound like you're a part of a cog of some sort of late-stage capitalist dystopian freaking nightmare. Did you ask AI, if it was cool to, slogging your ass out until you're like 85, greeting assholes at Walmart? Because shit doesn't want to pay you fully? You're going to get me really triggered off, Tim. I have a head cold coming on. I don't know if I can listen to you just yammering on with absolutely no understanding about the basic functions of this globe. You're trying to like perpetually keep people in the workplace. And that, you know what that means? You still got a major tax base coming in of schmucks paying into the tax system who are still grinding it out. Now, cognitively, are there benefits to working until you get older? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are people who love doing what they do. Nurses, I've known, like I said, nurses who are still working at 72, loving what they do. Women working in administration doing nursing, loving what they do. Met plenty of people, but they finally start to reach a point where they're like, nope, I'm done. And that usually coming up in this, probably early 70s. Most people are like, yeah, kind of thinking, unless you're like an attorney or something or a politician. But they're not working that hard. They got a bunch of people doing the work for them. They're just showing up as like a figurehead almost. Oh, well, I'm sorry. You decided to draw 60. I didn't know if cancer was going to let me live till 63. Well, I know who this is. Calm down on the Trump stuff. You're going to give yourself a hernia. Well, that's a different decision. Okay, for health reasons, which is one of the reasons why, because people work so hard. It's why people do draw so early in this country, because they work themselves to the freaking bone here. Working 15 freaking jobs, and everyone thinks it's cool to work 60, 70 hours a week. It's horrible. So you don't have time to actually enjoy your life. That's why I work 4 days a week. And I do YouTube. But Tim, you're just a mouthpiece for billionaires. They really got you on a, working yourself to the end of days, don't they? Trying to convince other people to do the same. Oh. It's like, no. Sorry. I just think that's not something that's cool. We need to stop this, okay? It's not cool. Tim's not cool. Tim's a loser,
Auto repair,
in my opinion.
body, paint, electrical, plumbing, any of these trades that you can, run an ad on Craigslist and do a little self-employment side hustle. Handyman, you know how to do it all. Those guys that do very well, and they're on Social Security. And then all these other little side jobs like greeters at Walmart, or working at the golf courses, or the ladies that might answer the phone for a company for a couple hours in the morning or weekends or whatever it is, to bring in a little money. Maybe work a part-time job in an air conditioning, Macy's or Kohl's or something as a cashier or whatever you like to do as a lady. And, you don't want to get out there and lay brick or dig ditches.
Right. No. Yeah.
And you're around some friends and you're doing stuff and you get discounts on the other stuff in there that you might like. Maybe you shop there. And you say, you know what?
And there's other people who leave comments all the time telling Tim that having a side hustle, this isn't retirement. Greeter at Wall, all this stuff. I remember there was a gentleman who used to work up at the Panera Bread. And I guess he was had gone into retirement. It was like start of the pandemic, very pleasant man. And I remember he was there and he used to just let me know he really was not enjoying the fact that, he was having to come out and work still when probably maybe dealing with some health issues, maybe just wanted to be retired. Didn't think that, had worked his whole entire life in this country, probably paid taxes, paid into his Social Security. And things have gotten so expensive because people like you return stuff all the time, Tim. And people like you took huge amounts of money during the pandemic and flooded the market with cash, buying freaking RVs that you were not eligible to have in your life. That's why we've got the going on too. You're just miserable in how you just interact with everything in society, Tim. You're a burden, absolute burden to everybody and anybody who knows you. You're a burden. You're going to be a burden on your daughter. You're expecting your daughter to be the hospice daughter. What a burden you are.
I spend all my money in here. Why don't I work here for a little bit? And they're all offering part-time, no benefit jobs out there now because they can't afford to pay full-time with benefits. You got your Medicare at 65, so you don't need health insurance or anything. And if you quit at 62, you're still pretty healthy like me. I didn't care about health insurance.
What?
I rolled with none. And at 65, I had to.
What, Tim? No. No, you talked about having diverticulitis. You've talked about having Crohn's disease. You've talked about a torn rotator cuff. You've talked about the fact you were told at 40 you had the signs of glaucoma coming on and you ignored it. Trash. You talk trash, Tim.
I take it. And yeah, I go to the eye doctor and it didn't do anything. And I take these eye drops. I don't know what they're doing. And I get some skin work done. Yeah, that's paid for itself.
Well, you know what, Tim? The eye stuff doesn't work because you don't follow anything and you did it so late. They're doing what they can. You know, these are the types of patients that are irritating because they are non-compliant. And then they complain when their things are not actually going so well for them. And then you find out how non-compliant they are. And it's like, well, what do you expect? Gosh, can you imagine being married to this thing?
You know, hey, you get it. But I didn't need it until I got Medicare. I didn't need any of that crap from 62 for 3 years. So if you're relatively healthy, now some people aren't that fortunate. Some people are definitely sick at 50. You've had a stroke, you've had a heart attack, you got gizzard problems, you got clutch problems, brake problems.
Oh,
you got problems. You know, it just doesn't.
Dental plus probably $52,000 still remaining on EIDL to the U.S. taxpayer. That he is hoping he will die before it's paid off. Because he worked out, I'm 60-some years old, this is 30 years. I'm not living up until my 90s. Selfish.
For everybody. And a lot of people will say that in comments like, hey, you know, not everything is the same for everybody. Well, the one part's the same. And when I see a $5 bill on the ground, I don't walk by and leave it there and think, oh, maybe tomorrow if I come walking by here, it'll be a 10. No, I pick it up and I take it.
I promise you. Sometimes I'm listening to him on my way to work and I know I have to be at work, so I can't make any reaction or anything. I just am like, this guy is driving me nuts. Just so many lies, so many lies, so many lies.
So at 62, get your money and crush it.
Oh, goodness. Look at this. Oh, okay. Let me share this tab instead. Okay. So a while back ago, I went over something in the SBA website that talked about a case in Florida that was brought. And one of the people was indicted separately for EIDL monies. And so this was, you know, this person, Neil Rashad Bryant. This is on a government website. This was an indictment. Count 1, wire fraud. And this is out of the Tampa division in Florida. And so this is sealed. And I'll put the link if anybody wants to take a full look at this, but because I know some people have some interest in court documentation. So there, like I said, okay, so I'll just try to link the dots here for everybody. So if you remember, I'll show this time back. So if you remember a little while back ago, I spoke about this press release that came out at the end, sort of in December end of last year, of 11 individuals indicted for stealing more than $2 million in COVID relief funds. One of these individuals who was indicted separately was this gentleman, Neil Bryant, was charged with 1 count of wire fraud. And then obviously by submitting a fraudulent EIDL application. Okay, so if he is convicted, he faces a maximum of 20 years in federal prison. Bryant also notified that the United States is seeking an order of forfeiture in the amount of $52,400, which represents the proceeds traceable to his offense. This is pretty big stuff. Tim just taking it so lightly, I find it shocking. Okay, so this is actually... Oh, thank you, David. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, yes. That's the plan. We'll talk about that more in members only too, but thank you. Thank you. That was very generous. Thank you, David. He knows what's going on. So to voluntarily be broke and get an ACA subsidy, you should have to be working 40 hours a week to qualify for a subsidy. I know when I had mine, I had my own business. And you know, God, It's a lot of paperwork. Surprised that Tim's getting any of it done. All right, so here is this gentleman. So we just, that article. This is the actual indictment paperwork. This is the actual case filing. This is what they said, and it's in very nice, plainly written English. Okay, so this is this gentleman. Okay, so he submitted false and fraudulent information to obtain a federal economic injury disaster loan, which I believe that Tim did the same. Tim had no business that was in operation at the time. He did not use this for any of the reasons that it stipulates for the years, which is payroll. And it did say something about debt, but not personal debt. It would be to do with debt that the business would have. Not you, Tim. That's not your... He's how he's not getting caught in this, I just don't know. All right. So he supposedly set up a business name, which is more than Tim had, because Tim was just Tim Baker. BOE Entertainment LLC was a business owned by Bright, located in the Middle District of Florida. Okay. So the Small Business Administration was an executive branch agency of the United States government that provided support to entrepreneurs and small businesses. In or around March 2020, and then he would have had to have, in March of 2025, he would have had to do his paperwork again, his UCC filing. And this was out of some other time. Okay. So in around the president declared the ongoing coronavirus pandemic of sufficient severity and magnitude to warrant an emergency declaration for all states. Okay, etc. The SBA enabled and provided for loans through banks, credit unions, and other lenders. These loans had government-backed guarantees in addition to traditional SBA funding programs. The CARES Act established several new temporary programs and provided for the expansion of others to address the COVID-19 outbreak, which was declared a nationwide disaster by the president on the 13th of March 2020. They start to go over, okay, so this is what the actual loan is supposed to be used for. Okay, so one of the responses was the EIDL to provide a loan assistance, including 10,000 advances, which they ended up, depended on the number of employees, for small businesses. Okay, so Tim would have been a small business, wouldn't you think? Because he was just one guy. If he had this business still going, one guy going door to door. So in reality, Tim was really only eligible for this one, which he would have been one person, which meant he would have gotten the $1,200 like I did. That's what I got. Or $1,000, I think. I think I got $1,200. I got $1,000, which was, I think, given, and then I think I had $1,200, which was the loan, or something like that. But it wasn't very much if you're a one-person business. Okay, for small businesses, other eligible entities, so up to 10,000. Okay, how is Tim with his business eligible as another entity to get the amount that he got? We've seen how much he had. We know it's a lot because he even talked about how much he paid off on stuff. $58,400 we've seen attached to his name. So why this is wild. Okay. For small businesses and other eligible entities for loans up to $2 million, the EIDL proceeds could be used to pay certain qualifying expenses, i.e. fixed debts, like if you were paying on a property that you had purchased in order to house your business, like a warehouse, and you had a mortgage that had to be paid, or you had, say, equipment that you needed, and you had a debt that was a fixed debt, not something on a credit card. That's not a fixed debt. Payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that could have been paid had the disaster not occurred. EIDL funds were issued directly from the United States Treasury, and applicants applied through the SBA via an online portal and application. Now, Tim used the CSS Global or some site in order to do his filing. The EIDL application process collected information concerning the business owner. Applicants electronically certified that the information provided was accurate, and they were warned that any false statements or misrepresentation to the SBA or any misapplication of loan proceeds may result in sanctions, including criminal penalties. And then financial institution number 1 was a financial institution as defined in this thing with him and main case. So basically they're talking about his account. And then here's what they say is the scheme. Beginning on an unknown date, but no later than in around July 2020 and continuing through at least July 2021, the defendant, and they say his name, did knowingly and intentionally devise and intend to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises about a material fact. Manner and means of the scheme and artifice. The manner and means by which the defendant sought to accomplish the scheme and artifice included, among others, the following. It was part of the scheme and artifice that the defendant would and did prepare and submit. And I've shown on his UCC filing, that was Tim Baker's UCC filing, and it went through a company called CSS Global. It was up there on that paperwork. Materially false and fraudulent applications to SBA's EIDL, which program was tailored to provide benefits and relief to businesses and workers negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. It was further a part of the scheme and artifice that in order to induce the SBA to fund the EIDL, the defendant would and did prepare and submit. Now remember, his is $52,400. Tim is $58,400, $6,000 more than this guy. Okay, think about it. Contained multiple materially false and fraudulent representations and pretenses, including overstating the number of employees for the business. That's one of the ways that Tim would have been able to have got that money. He had to have overstated the number of employees. If he had stated it was just one, the maximum he would be getting was like 1,000 and 1,200, as I had been awarded during that time with my small business. Tim, on the other hand, and I was still working, so I only went for part-time. So maybe, one, I think I just got part of that 10,000 because my business was being impacted. I couldn't go out and meet people easily. To discuss, my services as an RN, even though I was an RN. But I was very honest in my paperwork. Overstating the gross income for the business, representing and certifying that loan proceeds would be used for business-related purposes, and fraudulently affirming the truth of statements in the application. It was further a part of the scheme and artifice that the defendant would and did cause the SBA to approve the EIDL application and cause to be transmitted EIDL proceeds via interstate wire transfer. This is where this happens, this wire stuff, he's not getting it in the mail to financial institution 1. This is where you get wire fraud. It was further a part of the scheme and artifice that the defendant would and did use the EIDL funds and cause the EIDL funds to be used for unauthorized purposes. Yeah, buying wolf pups and stuff, Tim. That's not part of the thing, okay? And for own personal enrichment and the enrichment of others. It was further a part of the scheme and artifice that the defendant would and did perform acts and make statements to promote and achieve the scheme and artifice and to misrepresent, hide, and conceal the scheme and artifice and the acts committed in furtherance thereof. And then it said here, on or about the date set forth in the Middle District of Florida, the defendant, and then with his name, for purposes of executing the aforementioned count 1, date of wire. Tim's would be June, whatever date that money went into his bank account. Defendant caused a wire transfer in the amount, here we can put Tim's stuff in, $58,400. Isn't that funny? 52,400 in EIDL funds sent from outside Florida, because obviously Tim's would come from outside Florida too, to a financial institution, whatever it was, account in the defendant's name, somewhere in Florida. So there you go, guys. So I'll make sure I link that in the description box below, because I think that's pretty interesting information, especially considering how much that seems to be what Tim was up to. There's only one way that Tim got that much money, and that was because he had to be falsely representing his business. There's no way, if he had just been one person, that he was eligible for that amount of money. The maximum for a small business, as you saw, was $10,000. So Tim made that business suddenly for that EIDL when he suddenly made it into a much larger entity in order to secure that amount of money. So I find it interesting. I should paste his name. Well, you know, we're trying to get things submitted. I promise you. We're getting things to the courts. Slowly, but we're doing it. Oh, yes, always possible. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that is so all right, let's get to Tim's page, see if he has anything else, and we're gonna probably finish it up there. But I just feel that is so that's Florida. It is a similar amount of money. The situation is similar. And I found it interesting in the document of this particular indictment that it clearly states that, as a small business, you would never be getting those types of monies. And Tim has always talked about the fact it was just him. So he was a small business. So that's already saying that he never would have been eligible for that amount of money. So there's already the fraud. I don't know how much, I mean, we can just keep, we just have to keep, every time you like and subscribe, any of these, commentary channels, reaction channels that talk about Tim and this EIDL money, though it seems like it's such an old topic, they are still prosecuting people. They're really starting to ramp up, especially these EIDL, these types of amounts. And so we just have to try to hope that maybe at some point, also reporting, I have used the link that was, hold on, let me show this. Obviously I've showed lots of ways to access paper. There is a hotline via this particular complaint form. I promise you, I know other people in the community. I completed this form. I included Tammy because she was living with Tim and would have knowledge of the situation. They were both sharing that property that Tim used as the address. He used a condo in Florida as his business address. His business address was basically next door to Fred and Raffaella. Because they live at the Manor Loop address. And so that is where they also live. So you had this entity, Tim, that with all of these employees, that was beyond a small business, that came out of a condo in Florida that you moved out of and then over to Teddy's property sometime in July of 21. Mom, I don't think that's true. Not when you get these types of individuals stealing money from people. Promise you, Tim would have a heart attack to think that, I could get some student loan relief or something for a nurse working through the panini time, couldn't get shite. You still got regular taxed and all sorts of shite, Got taxed probably even worse because we were getting bonuses and stuff for working from our employers. But I know that the U.S. government was making out handsomely from all of the, extra work and shifts and, the wild money that was being offered, to nurses to keep us on those floors. I had colleagues of mine die from COVID because they were out there. We had a lady that we knew was a heartbreaking situation where she was like a single mom with kids and stuff. And she, the kids were with the parents and she went out to try to, get a bit of a handle on some stuff, maybe get ahead in life. There's not many times that women get, such opportunities to make honest money, not flogging their bodies somewhere other than flogging it on the floor. And, she died. She contracted it. It was prior to the vaccine. Had lost colleagues. This useless POS has never even been in the military. Probably says he's got fat feet. Something. He's just gosh. So if you do care, go to that link. Take the time. I know I have. So, it takes a lot of people having to let people know. So for those who say, call Ray, report Ray. Yes, I have. I also have let the community know all this information, all of his UCC filings, where to find them, so that you yourselves can also hopefully do that if you feel so inclined to do it. That's all I'm saying. So I feel, because it can't just be me. And I know that, like I said, I know other creators in the community have also done their part. We have tried. I promise you, we are trying. And I know he's just one little fish in the pond. But I think that he has been particularly egregious. I think that he has taken monies from vulnerable peoples. There's just a lot of things. So I just think that we need to, just keep focusing on him. So like I said, every time you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, just engage with this content, it does give an opportunity for others to find me and hopefully others to find out. So I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you all for all your generosity. Make sure before you leave that you hit the likes. I've almost had you for hostage for 2.5 hours. Some people are like, how can you talk for 2.5 hours about Sarasota? We're not just talking about Tim. That's why. I'm educating around the EIDL, the SBA loans still. I'm showing where indictments, which are coming out of Florida, absolute paperwork. I feel like it's fascinating. I feel like, we're still within time. I feel like that was March 2020. Tim was June 2021. I feel like they're working their way through. So, yes, I know. I need to get back. My subscribers are going up. Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Well, you guys are awesome. Lots of love. Keep watching the Olympics. Let's have fun with that. Go Team USA with the ice skating, especially. And I do too. I'm going to go get myself retired government lawyers would do it. They would volunteer. I wish somebody would get this. I'm so surprised because there's no way Tim took less than 10 grand. We know that because he bought the wolf pup and he got like the Toyota. He got a bunch of stuff done with that money. And he always said it was more than the PPP. And with the PP, a lot more. The PPP was over 12,000. So we already know we went over that amount. And that's not a small business. And the most that he really could have been eligible for was $1,000 or so. Because he was one person going belly to belly, door to door sales. So he had to lie. He and Tammy got real creative, in my opinion. All right, guys. If you want to help Roscoe or help us, there's the buy me a coffee. Links up in the description box below. Love you guys. We'll catch up soon. Take care. Be safe. Don't take anything that Tara said or Tim says as advice.
Life and Vibe, thanks so much. My queen, my Sarasota Tim expert.